Why do they never go in for me? Hey music lovers! Yes, I'm back again with another British Indie and Me video. Now this series is just spiraling out of control. I did plan just to do a response to that James Griffiths Jolien video just by showing a few bits and pieces, but I've planned out at least 7, maybe 8, maybe even go to a 9th video. So you'll get lots of this rubbish from me whittering on about old indie records. But I thought what we do today is go into all things dark and gloomy. Yes, it's goth with a double F. Well, not really. I suppose goth was really the first kind of alternative music I got into. I've been looking back at the records I actually had, and a lot of them fit that category. I've got a shed load of records to show you here. This might be a long video, so buckle up. I don't want to do a two-parter. I want to get these all done and dusted in one video, so I might skip over some of them, just show them, maybe a few words. Well, knowing me, I'll probably be like half an hour. I will try and be as succinct as I possibly can, but there's an awful lot to go through. So, I reckon the very first goth record I ever heard was in, now I think this was 82, maybe late 80, early 83, watching Top of the Pops, and the guy from the Maxell ad, if you remember, from the 80s, turned up in a band. Now, I had no idea this guy was in a band, but the guy on the Maxell ad was Pete Murphy, and the song he was singing was from this album, which is Burning from the Inside. The song he was singing and the band Bauhaus were doing was She's in Parties, which is a brilliant slice of dark, doomy, bass-driven, glorious, gothy pop. I mean, it was poppy. I mean, it made the charts. It was a good song. So I think I actually got this probably about beginning of '84, because even then I was like scouring the sale bins and the knockdown bins, and this was in it. This is a terrific album, really terrific. So this was definitely the first. That was the first goth song that I remember hearing. I don't remember hearing stuff like Bela Lugosi or the really early Susie. In fact, a lot of the early goth kind of passed me by, and it was the right tail end of Bauhaus that I really got into. So there's the first one. So around 83, I also ended up getting 83, 84. I did get into this, and I heard this on Top of the Pops again, and the video absolutely caught me. And this is the Susie and the Banshees cover of Dear Prudence. This is still one of my favourite singles, definitely one of my favourite covers of all time. The video was a riot of colour. That's the thing about goth. It was a kind of bound up in almost contradictions. For all the doom and gloom and black, and there was an awful lot of colour around, and an awful lot of uplifting music. It wasn't all grey raincoats and doomy lyrics. I mean, this is fantastic, and the B-sides are too superb stuff. So that led me on, and I also got the hold of the next single, which is Dazzle, which is another slice of buoyant. I mean, it's buoyant. Dazzle is a beautiful song. Starts off all slow and dreamy, and then bursts into life with an absolute cacophony of sound. I'm not sure whether that got top 40, but I picked that up anyway. Fantastic single, Dazzle. A little bit later, because this was out of sync, I did actually pick up the cassette of Juju, which is one of the Goth albums. An amazing album this is. It's got Spellbound, Arabian Nights, Head Cut, Voodoo Dolly. I mean, that is prime Goth. I never bought much early Susies. I don't know why. Maybe just a question of money and other priorities at the time, but this is fantastic. I bought this a bit later, probably about 85, 86, I think. I'm so glad I got that because it's a terrific album. Right. So next up, kind of another band I never got into, their early really gothy stuff, was The Cure. I never got into Faith, Pornography, or the other one. There's a trilogy of them, and I can't remember the third album. Faith, Pornography, whatever it was, I can't remember. But I did get into them when they started becoming a little bit more knockabout and fun. It was still considered to be goth, even though they didn't really sound it, but they part the contradiction of goth. So here, this was the first thing that I got by The Cure. So I remember hearing The Walk on Top of the Pops, and I thought, oh, Blue Monday ripoff. I didn't know The Cure were goths. I didn't know anything about it at the time. This was 1983. But then in November 83, which was also on this album, came a glorious slice of brilliant pop. It was The Cure's breakthrough song. It was The Love Cats. And I still love that to this day. That's on here as well. And this has got some great songs on it. It's still got the insert with this. I bought this when it came out. Like Let's Go to Bed, The Walk, which I now absolutely love. But it was The Love Cats that really got me into The Cure. So there we go. That's Japanese Whispers, which was a compilation of single releases at the time. Right. About this time, now I can't remember where I saw the video to this. I'm not sure if I got this first or saw the video first. But I saw the video for Bauhaus's cover of Ziggy Stardust, which is a terrific video. I mean, the cover's okay. It's basically a faithful reproduction of Bowie. But this, I picked this up probably about the same time. It probably would have been about early 84, maybe mid 84. I don't know. I can't even remember where I picked this up. But this has got it's got She's in Parties on it. It's got Ziggy Stardust on it, which is why I got it. It's also got a fantastic track, which I can never pronounce the name of, called Lagartianik. Lagartianik? Crack the Whip, anyway, is the refrain of it, and it's a fantastic storming piece of gothy rock. Absolutely magnificent. And there's a iconic Beggars label. Another band, I never visited the back catalogue. I never went any further back than this. I think I've got the CD version of this, which was expanded and did a whole overview. So of course I've got things like Bella and the rest of the stuff. But I don't think I've got many of their albums even on CD. Anyway, so that was the next thing. Then The Cure came back really quickly with early 1984, with a brilliant song, which wasn't really gothy at all. I thought it was a superbly quirky pop song with just really caught my ear, which was The Caterpillar. It was the start of kind of their golden period of absolute pop, for me anyway. I loved this. Kind of the rest of the album is a lot more gothy. Things like Shake Dog Shake, The Empty World. What else is on here? Dressing Up, Bird Mad Girl. This was great. Absolutely loved this. This was about the time, this was released at the time when Robert Smith was playing bass with the Banshees as well. So that's the top. Next up was, now this is kind of all drip feed. I wasn't going out and buying loads and loads of goth records. It was just hearing things on, on the radio. You might tune in and catch something on Radio 1, late night TV, playing videos. I started recording stuff off TV at this point, by this point, because we had a video recorder. And it was all just chance what you actually heard at this point, because I wasn't into the music papers. We didn't have the internet. There was no way of finding out about this stuff. But one evening, I can't remember where it was. It might have even been on a holiday. Or was it? I can't remember. But I was in the car. I think parents had left me in the car. I think they'd gone and done something. I don't know what it was. But I was listening to Round Table, which I used to love listening to. And I think it was on a Friday night on Radio 1 about 5:30, 6 o'clock. And they used to have people in, and they used to have review new records. And I didn't know this at the time, but this next song obviously planted a seed in my head, because I absolutely thought, oh, what's this? Didn't buy it for ages, but I'm going to show it now because it does come kind of next. And it's the Cult Resurrection Joe. So this was a standalone single released between Dreamtime and Love. And it was definitely the first thing I'd heard by Cult. And it was just really intriguing bass riff, kind of quite funky actually. But it's definitely got those gothy guitars in it. Love that. With the Hepcat mix on the B-side. Lovely, lovely single. Love that. Right. I'm whipping through these. Now, next up. Now, I'm trying to think. I think I'm going to put this next. So, I've already mentioned this song on the introduction video to this run. But next up was Sanctuary, which is... this is such a precious song to me. I cannot state how important this song was to my musical development and the different things I got into as a result of this. Fantastic song. Oh. Which of course led me to buying this. Now I've talked at length in another video about my Cult collection, so I'm not going to mention them too much here. But one of the first gigs I went to was the Cult at Brixton Academy in June 1986, and it was the last date of the Love Tour. Mind blown. Bing! Absolutely fantastic. All through 85, this was a band that actually got played quite a lot. Well, the singles of this record got played a lot in 85. And the next one that I got was Head on the Door by The Cure. I remember hearing In Between Days and absolutely loving it. And then you got things like Close to Me as well, which was such a brilliant song. But you've got bass heavy stuff like Screw, which is possibly one of my favourite Cure songs. Push, Kyoto Song. Definitely a big, big album for me. And not really dark and gloomy. I mean, at this point, The Cure were liked by goths, but not really goth, I would say. But this is a terrific album. Head on the Door. Fabulous. Old punk bands suddenly turned gothy. And the main one I got into was this one, which is a goth pop masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. This is fantastic. So this is Phantasmagoria by The Damned. First single of this was actually quite a madnessy sounding song, but it kind of had that gothy feel to it. So it wasn't just a straight up madness sounding thing. Shadow of Love, the other single off this album, definitely was goth par excellence. Things like Sanctum Sanctorum, Street of Dreams. So it definitely was a goth album. I mean, after this, they released anything and went more rocky again. Actually, more mainstream rocky, really. Covers of Love and stuff. But this was definitely a goth album. And you couldn't really... How gothy is that inner cover? Look at that. But this is a great record as well. I think it was in it. Yeah. Even still got the merch sheet. That's quite cool. So the Damned Phantasmagoria. Now I still hadn't reached my absolute goth era. I think the next couple of years was when I really peaked with goth. So this was released in 85. In 86, I discovered a certain bunch of reprobates from around Leeds. They'd been releasing records all the way through the early 80s, but I hadn't really got into them. Well, I hadn't been exposed to them, but as soon as I did, and I know the first time I got exposed to them, I went back and bought shed loads of their records. So the band is the Sisters of Mercy. And this is their debut album, First and Last and Always. Now at this point, the band consisted of Wayne Hussey, who was guitarist, Craig Adams on bass, Gary Marks on the guitars, and obviously Andrew Eldritch on vocals, with Dr. Avalanche as the drum machine. So there's looking more like a bunch of bikers than a bunch of goths, but this is the kind of gothy look I went for. I never had this kind of hair though. Later on I had the jacket, kind of almost a Grebo-esque look, as you'll find out from one of my later videos. So the first time I ever heard First and Last and Always was bizarrely on Daytime Radio 1. Gary Davis, who was an awful DJ who used to play the lunchtime show, used to do a quiz where you could pick your top 5 records and play them, but every day you had to answer a certain amount of questions to be able to play the next record, to come back the next day and get your next record. But I remember one guy, he chose Amphetamine Logic, which is just called Logic on here, but Gary Davis wouldn't play that. So the actual first track I ever heard was Marianne, which is a slice of angsty, brilliant, doomy, bassy magnificence. So I picked this up, I probably got this as a Christmas present, to be honest, but absolutely blew me away. First and Last and Always, the title track, is an amazing song. Some Kind of Stranger, Black Planet, Walk Away. Part of the soundtrack to the second half of the 80s for me. Sod Live Aid, sod Phil Collins, sod Dire Straits, sod all the rest of the Live Aid bozos that made it after that. This is where the 80s really was at for me, and so many other records as well. So here I am exposing the dark underbelly of the 80s. Right. So this led me to get loads and loads of Sisters records. I'm going to show you some of them. Well, probably most of them actually, but there's some that I'm not going to bother. So, probably now I've got 2 favourite Sisters records, 2 favourite Sisters songs, and the first one is it was a staple of indie clubs in the late 80s, even though I think it was released in 83. I think it was 83, can't remember. These are out of order, by the way, they're not chronologically correct. 83, was it? Doesn't say on it. Anyway, is this one. And this is Temple of Love by the Sisters. Oh, I spent so much time dancing to this. Whenever that riff started, I used to head up on the dance floor. and it's got one of the another brilliant cover. I should really have included. I don't know if I did include it on that under the covers video I did, but that was 7-inch bass. But they do a magnificent version of "Gimme Shelter," which is well, it's just an amazing song, forever etched in my memory. But this is beautiful. This is a fantastic record. Now, vying with that as my favourite Sisters song is, and these are terribly dusty, is this one. So this is Alice. Never got this on 12-inch. I don't know why I got this on 7-inch. I think somebody gave me this, actually. This was originally released in 82, but I went back and after First and Last, I went on a mad spree with the Sisters, and I got this. I think I might have asked for it off somebody, but this is Alice in her party dress. I mean, it's unbelievably good gothy rock, prime goth. And then I also picked up this one as well, which is another great song, which is Anaconda and Phantom, another great single by them. Superb stuff. And possibly one of their best releases here. It's the last Sisters record I'm going to show, which is the Reptile House EP. And this is much more kind of experimental. Lots of drums, not so many riffs. Kiss, Lights, Valentine, Fix and Burn. Originally released in 83, but it was mid-80s by the time I picked this one up. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant band. If you've never heard early Sisters, then you need to. You can pick up, now which one is it? It's not Some Girls Wonder My Mistake, I think is the CD compilation they put out. Yeah, Slight Case of Overbombing is the latest stuff. So yeah, it's got basically all the singles from Body Electric up to Reptile House. I think it's the last thing on there. Maybe some of the stuff like off the 12-inch Walk Away.